My name is Kurt Kirstein, and I am the Dissertation Director for the EdDoc program here at City University of Seattle. In this presentation, I'm going to spend a little time going over the process of completing your applied dissertation, the documents that you will need to submit, and some of the expectations that we will have of you as doctoral students. First thing, let's talk about what the dissertation is. The dissertation is a major research study, meaning that it is a study that you will undertake that will be of some substance where you actually are addressing a significant problem or a significant issue in the field in which you are studying. It should be a topic that has not really been addressed by another study, so in that sense it should be unique. An important point in this is that your dissertation, in some significant way, should be advancing your field. So you should be contributing to the body of knowledge that is contained within your field, or in some way refining that body of knowledge in a unique way that others will find useful. Having said that, though, it is important to remember that the dissertation that you produce will be limited in scope. Many students, when they first start out, will propose a problem statement that is far too broad and far too large. So the advice here is don't try to take on the world. Pick a problem that is limited in scope, but still unique. Think about your project as you learn new content through both your research and leadership core courses, as well as through your concentration courses. My recommendation to you is to always be watchful for things that can help you as you prepare your study. See if there is a way to use the assignments in your courses to further your research. My final bit of advice would be to choose wisely. Make sure you choose something that you know you can live with for potentially a number of years. Also, make sure you select a topic that can serve as a launching point for your research career as you complete the program. It is important that you choose something that you are passionate about and something that you can pursue for a substantial period of time. There are a number of individuals that will work with you throughout your dissertation process. The chair is the most important member of your dissertation committee. You will work with your chair to draft your documents. Under the guidance of your chair and through multiple revisions, you will work to refine your documents until they are in a state where both you and your chair are satisfied with them. Once that happens, your chair will send the documents to your committee member, who will serve as a second review to ensure that the documents meet all quality and program requirements. Once the chair and committee member have approved the documents, they will be sent to the university research reviewer, who will assess them to make sure that they conform to proper program and research quality standards. There are additional processes that you will undergo during the stages of your dissertation. The first of these additional processes is a review by the Institutional Review Board, or the IRB. The job of the IRB is to review the proposed research and make sure that it conforms to ethical and federal standards for appropriate research. You cannot collect any of your data before obtaining IRB approval. The next process is the review by the dissertation director. This happens at the proposal and final document stages. The program director will review the final dissertation report before it is accepted by the program. At the end of the program, each student will mount a defense of his or her research to a committee of subject matter experts. Lastly, each student must either present his or her work at a significant and program-approved conference, or he or she must write an article that summarizes his or her work and submit it to a journal for publication. It only needs to be submitted to complete the program. Hopefully it will be published, but this is not a condition for graduation. The dissertation process is divided into 3 stages. The first is a prospectus. This is a 15 to 20 page mini proposal that you will use to propose the initial idea for the research. It contains a problem statement, the purpose of the research questions, a miniature literature review, and a brief overview of the proposed methods to be employed in the research. Once the prospectus is approved by the chair and the committee member, you will then be approved to work on the proposal. The proposal is the first 3 full chapters of the dissertation. It contains a full introduction, a full literature review, and a full explanation of the research methodology, written in future tense because the research has not yet been conducted. The proposal must be approved by the chair, the committee member, the URR, and the dissertation director. Once this is done, the proposal, along with all necessary documents, will be sent to the IRB, who will check it to make sure there are no concerns with ethical research standards. It is important that no data be collected for the study until you receive clearance from the IRB. Once the proposal clears the IRB, you are then allowed to begin conducting your research. Once the data have been collected and analyzed, you will convert the methods chapter to past tense and will complete chapters 4 and 5 to produce the final dissertation report. The final report must go through a number of approvals. First, the chair and committee member must approve it. Then it must be approved by the University Research Reviewer, or the URR, and then by the dissertation director. From there, the program director must approve it before you schedule your defense, where you will be asked to defend the research to a committee of faculty and possibly others who are familiar with the field of study. Lastly, you must either present the research at an approved conference or submit your results to a peer-reviewed academic journal. As was alluded to earlier, the dissertation has 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is the introduction to the project. It contains the problem statement, the purpose of the research, and the research questions. It sets the stage for why the research should be conducted and what its significance will be. Chapter 2 is your review of the literature. In the last research course, you will have an opportunity to write your literature review. This review is essentially an opportunity for you to show what the current state of your field is and also to make it clear how your research will advance your field in some significant way. Chapter 3 is your methodology chapter. In this chapter, you describe in detail how you will conduct your research to address your problem statement and research questions. Chapter 4 is your opportunity to present the results that you found from your research process. And Chapter 5 is where you describe the significance of your research results and how the project has addressed the problem statement and research questions. Let's talk in more detail about the 3 different stages of the dissertation. Again, the prospectus is where you propose your research study. The most significant parts of the prospectus are the problem statement, the research purpose, and the research questions. You will also provide enough detail to give a brief understanding of the state of the field in which the research is being conducted and the methods you intend to use to conduct your study. Again, this document needs only to be approved by the chair and the committee member. The proposal is the full version of chapters 1, 2, and 3. The difference is that chapter 3 must be written in future tense to indicate what you will be doing in your study. Later, you will convert this to past tense to show what you did in your research. There must be a sufficient level of detail in all 3 chapters. The templates and rubrics will show you what needs to be included in each chapter. But, in brief, the introduction should clearly explain why the problem you have chosen is significant. The literature review should provide an exhaustive review of enough literature to substantiate the chosen problem and the methods section. And the methods chapter should provide enough detail that another researcher could exactly replicate your study. Remember that the proposal must be approved by the chair, the committee member, the URR, the dissertation director, and finally by the IRB. Also remember you are not allowed to collect any data until IRB has approved your study. Once you have received IRB clearance, you can begin your research. The first stage of this is usually to begin collecting data associated with the study. Once the data are reviewed and analyzed, you can write chapters 4 and 5, which complete the text of the final report. The final report must be approved by the chair, the committee member, URR, the dissertation director, and the program director prior to defense and dissemination. The CityU EDD program has been structured in a way that integrates the 3 stages of the dissertation directly into the program. There are a number of classes that students register for to complete these stages. The first 2 are LDRD 690 and 691. These are also known as Proposal 1 and Proposal 2. It is during these 2 courses that you will complete the prospectus and the proposal. If you do not complete your proposal by the end of LDRD 691, you may need to continue working on it as you begin the dissertation courses. There are 4 dissertation courses known as LDRD 694A through D. During this time, you will complete the research, write chapters 4 and 5, gain all necessary approvals, and complete the defense and dissemination. If you are not able to complete all parts of the dissertation in LDRD 694A through D, you must register for LDRD 699, which is Continuing Dissertation Services. You will register for this course each quarter until the project is complete. In addition to the proposal and dissertation courses, each student in the program will complete a research core. These 5 classes are intended to teach you how to analyze and conduct research. Each course gives you an opportunity to plan and even work on various parts of the dissertation. It is useful to seek out opportunities to use the assignments in the research courses to help you advance your ideas for your dissertation. Let's switch focus now to a more detailed look at the nature of the research you will be conducting in your applied dissertation. First, let's note the differences between basic and applied research. Basic research is the generation of new knowledge for the sake of that new knowledge. It is quite often not directly applied to a known problem in the field. Such is the case with many PhD programs that employ a basic research model. An applied research model asks students to conduct research that can be immediately and directly applied to the solution of a problem in the student's field. This is the reason why the problem statement is so important. It defines the nature of the research as its resolution is the purpose of the study. Now let's talk more about the problem statement. It has a number of attributes. First, it is a clear and documented problem in your field. It is not your opinion. It is not a problem that you think exists. You will need to produce substantial literature to show that the problem you have chosen is a real problem that needs to be addressed. It should be a problem of some substance that is currently having a negative impact on your field, and one that once solved will bring benefits to those who work in the field. The problem statement must be clear and succinct. A bit more about the problem statement. First, it must be limited in scope. Do not select a problem that you are trying to solve for the whole world or the whole country. Doing so can cause a number of problems, not the least of which is that to properly address the problem would require a level of research that would take many, many years. Second, select a limited scope. This can be either a set of companies or a school district. Address the problem within that limited community. However, make sure that that limited community is representative of a larger population or the larger community, so that the results that you gain from your study can be applied to a much larger population. That being said, don't make the scope too limited. If you were trying to construct a study that looked only at employees from 3 companies or 5 students from a single school, this would not be dissertation worthy. The results would be based on too small of a study to have any significance to a larger population. Your problem should be unique. It should not be one that has already been addressed by another researcher. It should be shown to be a real problem in the literature. It should be described in a way and to a level of detail that shows how meaningful it is to the field being studied. It cannot be your opinion. It cannot be based on your opinion. It can also not be based on your experience. It must be substantiated in the literature. And finally, it must be of sufficient substance to rise to the level of being dissertation worthy, meaning that it is important enough to be worthy of a multi-year study. The problem statement is the foundation of your study. As has been indicated earlier, it must be clear, succinct, documented, and meaningful both to you and the community. Your chair will work with you until you get this right. A bad problem statement will jeopardize all other parts of the dissertation. Now let's review some of the expectations that we have of you as doctoral students as you go through the dissertation process. First, you can expect to spend a good amount of time on your dissertation. This is a project that you will work on for a few years, so make sure your topic is of sufficient interest to you to sustain you through this time. Your chair is there to guide you. He or she is not there to do your work for you. You are the one writing this dissertation. Also, your chair is not your editor. Do not turn in versions of papers with multiple grammar or wording issues. Your chair will be well within his or her right to refuse to read such a paper until it is cleaned up. When your chair, committee member, or URR make recommendations about changes, it is up to you to ensure that each and every one is properly addressed. All parts of your dissertation are to be written in a scholarly style. There is no room for your opinion in your research. What you present in your dissertation should come from the literature and should be cited using APA 6th edition or should come from the results of your research. Your work must be original. That means that you wrote all parts of your study. The only exception to this is if you cite as a direct quote work from another source which is properly credited to that source using APA 6th edition format. Plagiarism will absolutely not be tolerated on the dissertation or in any other part of the program. As you may be aware, the program has 3 residencies. The first is focused on the problem statement. Students can attend their first residency after completing the first research course. The second residency focuses on the literature review and the methodology chapter. This residency can be attended if the student is enrolled in or has completed the literature review course known as LD-RD 625. The third residency focuses on the final 2 chapters of the dissertation. It can be attended only after the student has completed all research courses and will be taking the proposal courses. The great thing about the residencies is that you get to meet with and work directly with your chair. You also get to work with other students who are going through the dissertation process. Residencies are conducted in the summer. This summer we have scheduled all 3 residencies in July. Dates, locations, and details will be forthcoming. During the residency, you can expect to meet with your chair and your fellow students, and you will work to produce a problem statement, a purpose statement, and a set of research questions. The items you draft may not be the final ones you use in your dissertation, but it is likely that the process of drafting these sections will significantly influence your final product. To find out more information about the program or the dissertation process, feel free to contact your chair or drop an email to either the program director or the dissertation director. Thank you for your attention to this presentation. I wish you luck as you go through this process, and I will see you at the residencies.